Okay, 1 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Bob Scanlon.
Sandy Slavin.
And Jim Gibberti. So we have a quorum present. And we have minutes from the November 14th meeting. Your acceptance. Sandy?
I have reviewed them and find them to be complete and accurate and take a motion to approve the minutes of the November 14th, 24.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0-0. Okay. We have this, the 3 units here, fiscal year 2025 Bourne billing. This is the billings per the intermunicipal agreement with the town of Bourne.
I've never seen approval for a swimming pool.
No, that's the skating rink.
Skating rink.
We're just waiting for the weather.
And Scott is now present.
Terry, come on. I'll sit down. Over here. Have a seat. Over there if you want.
Good idea.
Have a seat. Okay, fiscal year 2025 Bourne billing. This is the intermunicipal agreement with town of Bourne, which includes the annual flat rate user fee for the town administrator's temporary settlement dated June 11th, 19. Also, the capital costs fee for the IMA agreement, Article 5.5 dated February 23rd, 2010 for the treatment plant upgrade. And the third thing is an additional capital cost fee per the IMA agreement, Article 5.5 dated February 23rd, 2010 for the addition of the equalization basins at the main plant. This translates into treatment plant upgrade cost of $188,477.53. Town of Bourne total flat fee, flat rate due, $452, $563.29. And the third item is the treatment plant upgrade. This is the EQ basins, $33,043.95. Motion on this.
Make a motion to approve the billing to Bourne as enumerated.
Just a question. It may be picky. It says, the agenda says Bourne billing.
Look,
We're talking
what's your
bill.
point?
Well, it says billing. I expect one bill. You're asking
But
us to
3
approve
bills.
3. I know, but I would expect it to say billings, plural. I don't mean to be a point on it, but it says I expected one billing and now we've got 3. Should we call that a Scribner's error?
Absolutely, because
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that an aye, Sandy?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I have
And
copy here.
just for the, I want the minutes to recognize that this was identified as a Scrivener error, and it should have been Billings plural. Just for the minutes, if someone compares the agenda to our activity. Thank you.
Got EDU update here. This is, Scott, have you had an opportunity to think anything on the EDUs?
I thought about it, and what I'd like to do is start by meeting with the two water departments
Okay,
to see how their billing process, their metering process goes. I just want to understand the basis of how that works. I've also thought about some alternatives to flow usage, like I'm not sure how this would work, but I'm just starting to think of ways to do this, and using nitrogen, emission of nitrogen rather than volume of flow, but I guess I'm new to this game. I know nitrogen is a big game for us.
well, I mean, pop in whenever you think you need to, Scott. But as far as, I've been under the impression, nitrogen is a big game for us.
Yes.
But nitrogen is something we have to treat out of the water. So we're handling volume. So volume is an issue for the plant. And that's probably the primary issue as far as flow rate, et cetera. What we have to take out of it is a secondary part of the problem.
What I'm thinking of is, and you talked about categorization of certain commercial operations and so on. So let's say that we have, and like I said, I'm just at the very beginning of thinking this through.
That's fine. No.
Let's say we have two businesses that have two equal amounts of flow. Okay? One of them produces huge amounts of nitrogen, the other one barely produces any. And it's costly, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, it's costly to remove the nitrogen from the water.
In a sense, yeah, it just depends on what species nitrogen is coming in. Is it high ammonia, high nitrate?
Okay.
So there's a difference.
Let's say total nitrogen.
Yeah, again, you'd have to speciate it.
Okay.
Because so the bigger thing that taxes this system really is biological oxygen demand. Because
Okay.
from that you get the gases that rot the pipes and things like that. So I think you're on the right track, trying to determine how to tax, so to speak, a business one
It is a
versus the
tax,
other.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a pathway, maybe just not the easiest one, but it might be one. So, again, if it's a restaurant, from the grease traps come a lot of biological oxygen demand, whether the grease traps are working well or not. But the nitrogen might not be that high. Another one might be, a brewery. Well, the VOD's off the charts.
Yeah.
But the flow, the volume isn't going to be huge. So if you tried to only use the flow on them, you would actually end up hurting the overall budget in the long run. So there's a lot of things to be taken, but I think you're on the right track. We just need to make sure we evaluate it in a way that doesn't in the end hurt.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any perfect way of assessing fees for the usage. Any way you do it, whether you do it by volume, you do it by BOD or whatever it is, it's not going to be completely equitable or fair across the board.
Right.
So what we have to do is try to make it the best we can, especially with the limited ability of monitoring what's happening at these places. I mean, you can count chairs in a restaurant, but how does that translate? Or you can count desks in a school, or whatever, but how do you quantify in any of these other businesses, a garage versus a hairdressing salon versus an insurance agency or whatever. So I'm struggling with that, and I haven't yet been able to get into the literature to see what's already been done on the research side, from the biological side of it, from the chemistry side of it. So I'd like to spend a little time doing that.
As far as I'm concerned, whatever time is necessary is fine, because we've been playing with this for quite some time. We don't have a resolution, and I'm just trying to get it off of square one to be moving forward to try to come up with one. Now, whether or not we are able to come up with something better, I don't know.
You know, maybe it'll be an EDU with something like a BOD surcharge or something like that, you know, where we have kind of a mixed
Never thought of that.
a mixed way of assessing. And you're right, it's a user tax.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why this has to be an elected board, right? Because
Exactly.
no taxation without representation.
Right.
So anyway, that's where I am, and at some point I will ask for help. But I want to do some of the basic research first
Fine.
and get some thought and have some interviews at the, like I say, at the two water departments before I decide on some way of moving forward.
That's fine. Okay. Whenever you decide you want additional help,
Okay.
call or scream yell.
So probably like toward the end of January, I'm thinking we'll be ready to do that.
Okay. That'll be after you've done the Christmas shopping.
Do what? Do what? I've been buying doors and making tables and so on, I think that'll work. But that's putting roofs on. Like that'll suffice for Christmas presents.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Before we continue, I'd like to have, introduce yourself for the record and spell your name, the person who takes our minutes, so that you're on here as, you're here and who you are.
Carey Pastor, C-A-R-E-Y, P-A-S-T-E-R. I was invited here today by Jim, by you, to sit down here and go through this meeting and see what happens on December 17th. I meet before the supper.
Thank you. I just want our minute taker to identify who you are and
All right.
indicate that you're here. Thank you.
Okay. The next thing is we have a joint meeting with the select board. Is that right?
December 17th
Yeah, on the 17th. Yeah,
at 7:30.
correct. Just remember 7:30 in there. And that will be for anointing Carrie for the board.
Hi,
Hello.
Jessica Sweeney, CF Technologies. This is Bobby of Wareham Weekly.
How you doing?
Sorry, late.
And the next thing is, Scott, if you could give us a brief update on how construction's going in Wareham.
Yeah, construction is going very smoothly. They're moving at a very rapid pace. Both excavations for the clarifiers are complete. The foundation is poured for the sodium hydroxide building. Parts are gonna start to get demoed from the headworks, and things are just really moving along quite well. They work well with us here. They're not in our way, and we're not in their way. So anyway.
What are those big holes in the backyard for?
Did you clarify, or this one over here, the foundation for the building is laid
No,
out?
that's the skating rink, right?
Yeah.
It looks like it's,
But yeah,
that's the clarifiers.
yeah.
Will the demolition on the headworks be internal only in the building, or will it encompass the entire structure?
It'll mostly be in the building. The structure itself will stand, but there will be some of the odor control piping that'll be demoed and then rebuilt. And that's on the outside.
What do you do when it's not done yet? When it's demoed and not done yet?
Well, there's steps to take. In the headworks itself, where it's not working, we have mechanical screens or physical screens in place that have to be manually cleaned right now. So,
And that will continue until it's fixed.
correct.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, Speaking of Wareham Weekly, it would be worthwhile asking them to do an article about rags or flushable wipes into the system and how much of a tax that is on the equipment that happens. And, I mean, just to get the word out that a flushable wipe may not actually be flushable.
And there's a promotion right now to use bamboo toilet paper, which is not good for us at all.
Bamboo,
Mm-hmm,
that sounds painful.
yeah,
Sharpened.
yeah, use bamboo so you don't have to cut so many trees down
That's better than
for
the
TP.
compost.
But it,
So would you be willing to sit for an interview with them to talk about?
I just said, yeah, sure, I just have to get the clearance from Derek
Okay.
and, yeah, to do that, but yeah.
and no grease down, wipe your grease before you wash your hands.
Yeah,
I mean, things like that that we can get out to the general public that can help our processing point.
Jenny, maybe if you would also sit with them, that would be great.
I'll be glad to. I mean, it's, on that particular issue, which Sandy just brought up on the wiping the grease, that applies not just to the people that use our system, but that really applies to everybody that's got a septic system as well.
Yep. Title V's don't like it.
Anything that we're promoting should be carried right through with the Title V's, and anybody that's got that has the same impact or greater impact on them.
Or those that still have cesspools.
But
Yeah.
those are the good ones.
They've been, yeah.
I don't want to hear about them.
That would be great, thanks.
Glad to do that. Okay, do we have any unanticipated items? Anybody?
You want to talk about what was not verified?
No. We'll just bring it up on the next one.
You make sure it's on the next
No,
agenda.
I've already just got rid of that. Okay, I'd like to, okay, we're gonna go into a workshop from here.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn our regular meeting at
Second, whatever time it is.
1:16.
Second.
Okay. All right, now I would like to,
So what do we do for the next 15 minutes?
no, well, we're gonna open up the next meeting. We're just
This
gonna
is
go-
1:30.
No. And we'll just get some background and then we'll just go directly down there. How's that?
Have a nice pleasant interlude.
Well, do you want to open up the workshop now?
Yeah. Yeah, I put 1:30 down because I didn't know, that was a guesstimate time-wise, so. Just want to open up the workshop, call the meeting to order. And could I have a roll call?
Bob Scanlon?
Scott Sobey.
Sandy Slavin.
Jim Gibberti, and we got Terry Pastor as a guest for us. Okay, now we have Smith Technologies. Are we here someplace?
Yeah. Right here.
Would you introduce yourselves to everybody,
And
please?
slowly and spell your names for the minute taker.
Joe.
I'm John Moses, president of CF Tech.
J-O-H-N M-O-S-E-S.
I'm John Markowitz, and I'll spell the last name for you. It's M-A-R-K-I-E-W-I-C-Z.
Thank you.
Jessica Sweeney, S-W-E-E-N-Y.
Thank you.
Okay. Set. You all set? Okay. Could one of you at a time, or would give us an overview of what we're talking about, or what we're gonna be looking at, or what you're doing?
Sure, I'll be happy to.
Good.
I'm sure Jess and John will have other things to fill in. So what we've developed is a process for converting brown grease scrap grease into biofuel, biodiesel or marine fuel. So we take the brown grease, we dissolve it in carbon dioxide, react it, and that removes a lot of the contaminants that are in the trap grease. And then we take that cleaned up stream dissolved in the CO2 of, fats, oils, and greases, run it into a reactor with methanol, convert it to what's called FAME, fatty acid methyl esters, which is what biodiesel is. We then take that and we recover the CO2 and recirculate it. We take any excess methanol that we run into the reactor, recover that and recirculate it. And we take our biodiesel product out of the process. We appreciate Wareham's willingness to host us for this demonstration. So we have a small facility. It runs continuously, and it kind of mimics what a full-scale system would look like and how it would behave. Right now, we're looking to produce about 1 gallon per hour, so, very small scale, but it demonstrates, that the process works. In October, we ran it continuously for 50 hours just to, demonstrate that it's robust and produces spec product. In November, we made a bunch of improvements to the system based on that 50-hour run. We said, okay, maybe we'll try doing this and that to improve our yield and productivity and product quality. We've implemented those changes, and now we're ready to start up again and to test how those changes are doing for us. Eventually, what we would like to do is to install a full-scale plant here in Wareham, so that you could take in all the trap grease, available locally, and we could convert all of that into biofuel, primarily for the local market, perhaps for the town to use in its own vehicles and generators and things like that, and also for initially for marine fuel, partly because that's a very easy spec to meet, and there's a very high demand for renewable fuels by the marine industry. So that's one of the first markets that we're looking at. And we're talking to investors about the possibility of financing, that first unit. So we would look to see how we can work with the town of Wareham to get a first system built and installed here, and work together to demonstrate at full scale commercially what the process can do.
You're looking to expand it, how much space would you need?
Well, the first thing we want to know is how much trap grease can Wareham collect. But we had met with Guy a couple of years ago, who projected that, maybe something on the order of 1 million gallons per year was what the local, economy produced. So on that basis, I don't know that we would fit in, so we're in that tent, the Quonset hut out back. We'd probably outgrow that, but, we would probably have our processing equipment inside there and maybe have some tankage outside that area. And we're working in conjunction with Greasilla and, what Greasilla's plans are. So we take the output from the Greasilla machine, and that's our feedstock. But, it would be not much bigger than what that Quonset hut is now in terms of what our footprint would be for commercial scale.
Interesting.
So the grease comes in from the various restaurants, goes to Greasilla, which is then processed. What does it do within Greasilla?
So when it comes in, the trap grease that's collected is, anywhere from 10 to 30% grease.
So it gets rid of the extra.
Gets rid of all the water, the rags, the gloves, everything else that shows up, that gets pumped out of the traps.
Okay,
So what we get is about 95% fat. And then with our, selective extraction, we can remove most of that last 5% so that we're not carrying that into the reactor and into the product.
but you need the Greasilla to do its job
Yeah.
before you get the product out of that. Okay, I just want the people to know that Greasilla is contributing, because I know there was a lot of noise about the cost. Okay, Thank you.
How does the town of Wareham benefit?
Well, that's what we'd like to work out with you to see how it works for everybody. You know, whether it's because you get the ability to have additional tipping fees for the additional trap grease that you would take in. I assume that you get tipping fees when, you know, when trucks come here. You know, so you'd be able to take everything. I mean, one of the things we've heard is trucks from the Cape go through Wareham on their way to Rhode Island or Connecticut or Western Massachusetts to get rid of their trap grease that they've collected. So all of that could potentially be, you know, it makes life better for them and there's income for the town. We'd be producing material. I assume we'd be renting the space that we occupy. And we'd be producing material that we would, you know, work with Wareham, you know, to see what type of, you know, contribution we could provide, you know, so that it works out mutually.
Okay.
So your biofuel, which is your output, what type of engines can use it?
Diesel.
So it's a diesel product
Yes.
as opposed to a gasoline.
Correct.
So it's anything that runs on diesel, being boats, trucks,
Household heating, number 2 fuel oil, same as diesel.
oh, heating fuel,
Generator, fuel,
general.
if you have diesel generators.
I was saying mine is gas, okay, so
Oh,
diesel, anything that would take diesel could very well take your output.
Yes.
So are
So
we,
biodiesel is conventionally a blend stock with petroleum diesel, and then renewable diesel is a direct replacement. So there's two different conversions that could happen, one directly to renewable diesel, which is a 1-to-1 drop-in replacement for diesel.
Would there have to be anything done to the motors, engines that use this biofuel?
Generally speaking, no.
A lot of home heating install, the number 2, or kerosene home heating oil, a lot of distributors are now putting into the home heating oil up to 50%
Mixing it
biodiesel, mixing it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people request higher, but around I think in Massachusetts, the average without the consumer even having to know is about 5 to 7% biodiesel already mixed in. And the results are showing that there's better lubricity, less fouling, less corrosion. Once in a while, they'll do minor modifications to a home heating system if it's 100%.
Cleaner injectors, yes. So, any idea how much the town uses in its diesel fuel now?
I don't know.
Have to ask Mac, Dave, any idea?
Well, the question is the output there something that we have a use for?
so I recently moved from Phoenix, and they're converting a lot of their school buses to biodiesel. And you could always tell a biodiesel bus when it went by because it smells like French fries. Does your product have that same kind of byproduct, as it were?
It would actually be nice if it did. Given what its starting point is, we're still working on ODA.
Okay.
It's not something we've got control of yet.
It's pretty bad when it comes in.
So it's not as bad when it comes out as when it went in.
Okay.
That's
reassuring.
It's much better coming out than going in, but it's,
I would say it smells like French fries.
So the reason, traditionally, biodiesel is made out of virgin oils. Soybean oil is the predominant one. And then as people figured that out, they switched to use cooking oil, which is the French fry later oil. And now, because that gained in popularity, the cost for that went up because the biofuel costs so much more. Or I should rephrase that. The soybean oil is so expensive that people are looking for cheaper inputs. So they moved to the used cooking oil. And what we're using is the trap grease, which, you know, right now the majority of it is incinerated or landfilled. It's not being used for anything. So it's a second generation feedstock that becomes a higher value product compared to the used cooking oil. So you can start with something a little cheaper. There's a bit more, room in how you can process it. You can add more operating costs to get rid of stuff like odors and so forth.
Anybody else? Why don't we take in slide down to your operation and take a look at it.
That'd be great.
Adjourn for the tour.